Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at the DC versus Marvel Omnibus. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're doing an overview of the DC versus Marvel Omnibus. This is the crossover classics edition. So no amalgam stuff in here. This came out a week ago as I'm recording this video. It'll come out maybe a little bit sooner because I've seen some overviews of this book and I have not seen anybody actually page through the whole thing. So bear with me, we're gonna do it. Caveat, I've not read this. I just got it in the mail today, a week after it released. And so we're going to take a look at it. There are still copies available. I want to let you know as of a week after this released. So today is the general election day for the United States. There are still copies available. The normal retail for this is $150. I ordered this a long time ago when they announced the two different covers, and I said I want that Jim Lee DC versus Marvel cover on both of them. I've ordered both of them, and they were originally supposed to come out on my birthday, August 6th, if anybody cares, someone wants to send me a present next year. But that is when they were supposed to be released, so now we're in November. This came out technically in October, but the next one is off the schedule, so I don't know when that will be released. So on here we got the spine. I think these are kind of ugly, especially when you have this custom wraparound cover from Jim Lee. You're just missing all that stuff. It is inside, so if I had known that, maybe I would have picked up the regular cover, but I like the Jim Lee one. So this has got all of your characters featured in here. Superman, Spider-Man, Punisher, Batman, Darkseid, Galactus, Dr. Doom, Wonder Woman. On the first half, you can see the second half. And then here's the back of that cover. Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, Cyborg, Daredevil, Hulk, Deathstroke, Wolverine, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Storm, Phoenix, Wonder Woman. Awesome stuff. All right, so here's the inside. So what is in this omnibus? Says it right over there on the flap. Superman vs. Amazing Spider-Man #1, Marvel Treasury Edition #28, DC Special #27. Marvel and DC present Uncanny X-Men and Teen Titans #1, Batman Punisher Lake of Fire, Batman Punisher Deadly Nights, Darkseid vs. Galactus The Hunger, Spider-Man and Batman #1, Green Lantern, Silver Surfer Unholy Alliances, Silver Surfer Superman, Batman and Captain America, Daredevil and Batman, Batman and Spider-Man, Superman Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk versus Superman #1, and Batman Daredevil King of New York #1. Whew! Whole lot. This is a thick omnibus. This is a wraparound image. I'm not sure where this is from, actually. I'm assuming maybe it's in the Versus Teen Titans #1, or maybe DC Special or Marvel Treasury Edition, because I don't know. I've not read any of this stuff, except for the Batman Punisher Lake of Fire. So I did stretch the spine on this omnibus, so bear with me here. Here's your table of contents pages. Be aware, there are some copies out there, and I was terrified this was going to be mine. I saw it online. Some of them do start with page number 31. That's not the case here, so I'm happy about that. I kind of like this style of intro pages. It's got all your writers, all your artists, inkers, colorists, letterers, all that stuff. George Perez and John Kelly's collection cover artist. Collection cover, Jim Lee. Okay, so it doesn't say who this is. That's what I was looking for. But there's some trade paperbacks they were collected in back in the day. And you got an introduction by Paul Levitz. Here's your table of contents. And then, so I think this one is new. Yeah. Yep, 2024, so that's new. And then an intro from Dick Giordano from one of the trade paperbacks. And Tom DeFalco, Jerry Conway from those same trade paperbacks. What I do like, though, is that they have a lot of these notes in here. If you don't know who Paul Levitz is, here's who he is. And we'll see them throughout the thing as we go along. What is also cool is like all of these covers they're all kind of framed this way before every issue. This is Superman versus Spider-Man #1, obviously. And but sometimes they have like a little blurb on the left-hand side about, or on the inside page. So here's just, something in the original issue, I guess, from Stan Lee and Carmine Infantino, who were the heads of each company. edited by Carmine Infantino, Stan Lee, Jerry Conway, Rossi Andrew doing the art on this one, inked by Dick Giordano. Just wow. I've never seen this before. And it's a long book. Like here we are, 37 pages, and we have Doc Ock and Spider-Man battling. Where's the crossover yet? That's the other thing about this book, is all these crossovers were at least like 48 pages, right? Here we are, 53 pages in, 61 pages in. This is a long crossover. This is like a whole graphic novel. 73 pages, 80, is this 80 pages? You gotta be kidding me. Oh my gosh. Chapter 3 is on page 80, 81. This is a long special. Holy cow. 109 pages. And this is pretty cool. How this cover was born on the inside of the book, not still all the way in the back of the extras. A little pin up there. So yeah, this is what I was saying, is that there's a lot of these little letters in here that are taken from, I guess, from some of these other crossover classic collections that are stuck throughout the book. So if you're turning to something in particular, you can read that little blurb, or you can page through it. Superman and Spider-Man, this is another one, I guess. DC and Marvel present. So this is a sequel, Treasure Edition number 28. That's what this is. So 127. There's the Hulk. All stuff from, I guess, the 70s or 80s. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's probably in the table of contents in there. But yeah, pretty neat. That's not quite as long as the first one. Batman versus the Hulk. Another little intro by Len Wein. So I think it's cool that they have all that in here. A little origin of Batman and the Hulk. Who's doing this one? Dick Giordano, John Costanza, Len Wein, and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. That's cool. So yeah, I'm assuming these were all oversized, maybe because of that kind of square footprint in this oversized omnibus. Like once we get to the more modern stuff, it does fill up the whole page. So maybe, yeah, these are the Treasure Edition. So these are those big paperbacks. Like they just recently reprinted 2 of them. I saw the DC Superman versus Muhammad Ali one. It was $15 for a kind of a floppy reprint. So I passed on it. But yeah, this is just, I don't think I've ever read anything with Jose Luis Garcia Lopez art. So I'm pretty excited to read all this older stuff. Like most of my reading comes from Crisis on Infinite Earths forward, so from 86, from when I was born, basically. And then here we go. X-Men New Teen Titans, number 1. I've heard this is like legendarily good, like more good than it has any right to be. So you might be saying, as my son likes to say, why is it X-Men and Teen Titans? Well, in the 80s, Teen Titans was the premier super team from DC. That was DC's hottest book, and this was Marvel's hottest book. So naturally, they should cross over. And we're going to have freaking Darkseid in there also. So yeah, I'm not sure who's doing the art on here. Let's go back and figure that out. Here you go. Walt Simonson, Terry Austin finishes. So there you go. Chris Claremont doing the scripting. So yeah, just paging through it here. Oh, wow. Again, I haven't read a lot of this at all. So I'm trying not to spoil myself too much. But yeah, that's a pretty thick one. And then we get to the one I have read. I have read this one. Batman Punisher, Lake of Fire, O'Neill, Denny O'Neill, Barry Kitson, James Pascoe. And then they're kind of saying like, oh, here's a new thing from Mike Carlin saying like the crossovers return in the 90s. So a lot of these next bunch of pages are from the 90s crossovers. And then says, see the companion volume, Amalgam Age Omnibus. Can't wait to read that, dude. But yeah, this is Asbats, as he's lovingly called by all of his haters and lovers. This is so this takes place in the middle of, I guess, Night Quest, where Jean Paul Valley, he's kind of a guy who's gone a little bit crazy. He was handpicked by Batman after Bane broke his back to be Batman, and he constructed this really, some loved, some hated, in my terms, loved armor. And this is really cool to see Barry Kitson oversized art here. There you go. Boom, look at that armor, Asbats. Fun fact, I bet this he did first, and then they're like, all right, you can do the finale, because the reason I love Asbat so much, and I've mentioned this many times in a lot of my videos, is I got a little comic pack from Toys R Us in the late 90s, I guess, and it had a lot of this Night Quest, Nightfall, Night's End stuff. But in there, I did get Legends of the Dark Knight. I think it's number 65. It's the Night's End finale with art by, oh gosh, this guy right here doing the art. I just named him a minute ago. It'll come back to me. Barry Kitson. Yeah. So it's pretty much like, looks just the same, except that he's got the flowy cape versus the spiky red one that he had in that crossover. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting thing because Punisher kills people, and at the time, Asbats was kind of killing people, kind of not. So I'm interested to reread it, and I think I bought it at a convention before and read it only once, but now he's going after Punisher. I love these looks. God, I love this cape. So much fun. Gotta love that Asbat symbol. And then you have another Punisher Batman. This is Deadly Nights with Chuck Dixon and John Romita Jr., Klaus Janson. So now I guess this takes place after that. Bruce is back. Here's a 90s pinup where you got to turn the page to read it. I kind of hate these. When I was stretching this spine, it's kind of tight, honestly. Kind of tight, at least on my copy. Like, I had it open for like a good hour in the middle after I stretched it 3 times. So there is some gutter loss, I would say, especially as you get to these older books where they go full bleed all the way to the edges, stuff like that. Oh, Tim Drake Robin in here. Big Joker. So this would probably be the first time Romita Jr. drew Batman professionally. Oh, that's a cool page. So again, got a matching insignia here. And then Darkseid vs. Galactus, The Hunger by John Byrne. So all written by John Byrne, all drawn by John Byrne. Oh, wow. Ooh, that's so cool. So cool. And I wonder what Darkseid and Galactus are going to have to talk about, because they both want to destroy stuff. So you got, obviously, Silver Surfer in here. Lots of Kirby stuff in here. I think John Byrne, didn't he do... I feel like he did an Orion series at the same time. Maybe that's why he got picked to do that. There's Black Racer and Silver Surfer, which is a kind of funny crossover because they're kind of... I don't know if they're related, but they're kind of analogous to each other. They ride things in space and represent death. He is actually death in terms of the New Gods. This guy represents death because wherever he goes, Galactus follows and eats your whole planet. So I heard this one is also pretty good. The general thing on these is that most of these are just okay. Here's Spider-Man and Batman, James DeMatteis and Mark Bagley. That's pretty neat. Mark Bagley on Spider-Man and Carnage. Oh, Joker, never a bad thing. Can't wait to read that. But anyway, yeah, so they're saying generally these are okay crossovers. I mean, like with a crossover, you're only doing one issue, so you've got some oversized issues here to be able to do something. Green Lantern Silver Surfer by Ron Mars, Darryl Banks, which was the team doing Kyle Rayner Green Lantern at the time, Unholy Alliances. And I think Ron Mars was also writing Silver Surfer for Marvel. I don't know if at the same time, but at a similar time. This is Cyborg, Hank Henshaw, who later on becomes Cyborg Superman, and the death of Superman, that's who that is. And here's Terrax fighting Kyle Rayner. Darryl Banks' art, man, he's such an underrated artist. Oh, and you got Parallax in here. That's awesome. And Galactus again. So this is the one when I was stretching the spine, it says to be continued in the next omnibus, because it kind of ends on maybe a little cliffhanger. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, flipping through this. Again, this is going to be the most in-depth video. Yeah, here you go. Action continues in DC vs. Marvel number 1 through 4. The end? Question mark? And which is in that next omnibus. So that's the direct market cover for that next omnibus, which hopefully comes out either by Christmas time 2024 or early 2025. We shall see. Fingers crossed. It's also got another Jim Lee cover. That's the one I ordered. Silver Surfer, Superman. Writer George Perez, penciler Ron Lim. That's interesting that George Perez is writing this. So, Ron Lim, I know for sure, was doing Green Lantern at the time, because he took over for George Perez doing, what was it, Infinity Gauntlet. When George Perez stepped off the art, Ron Lim stepped in. Maybe that's why George Perez wrote this, because of the Infinity Gauntlet stuff. That's probably maybe a little bit in there. I'm not sure. Then you got Batman Captain America by John Byrne. Again, writing and art. A little more of a classic take this time, so that's kind of interesting. Because, of course, this is going to be a 1940s adventure with Cap and Bucky still alive. So you got 1950s Batman with Cap. I'm assuming all of these just assume everything takes place in the same universe, that they just, hey, we're all comic books and I'm going from New York to Gotham kind of thing, as opposed to setting up some sort of cosmic thing that makes them crossover, which is what actually does happen in the DC versus Marvel storyline, which I did read that a long time ago. I can't remember if I picked up those issues at a convention or not. It's all been sold since then. Here we go. Daredevil and Batman by Chichester and Scott McDaniel. D.G. Chichester, I believe, wrote some of the... I've been watching Near Mint Condition a lot. So the only way I know how to pronounce his name is because that's how Omar pronounces it. Shout out to Omar and Near Mint Condition. But Scott McDaniel, I believe they were the Daredevil team at the time. And funnily enough, Scott McDaniel goes on Batman for Batman Fugitive and Murderer and does kind of the same circle thing. And then later does the same pose on Green Arrow for DC. Not ragging on him. There's probably a similar circle panel with Nightwing in his run there. I love Scott McDaniel. I can't fault him for that, though. I love his style. It's so fun. I know some people don't like it because it's very loose, very artsy, but to me, it's really intense when it wants to be, and that works. This is a really long issue here. So yeah, again, I think all of these are longer, double, triple-sized issues, 80 pages or whatever, 55, 56 pages. Here's Batman Spider-Man by J.M. DeMatteis. Graham Nolan, can't go wrong there. Graham Nolan, to me, draws one of the best Batman, especially at this time with the 90s. Oh man, his Batman's so good. Spider-Man, more of a classic Romita Spider-Man than anything else going on in the 90s at that point, but I love his Batman. Oh, this is Ra's al Ghul, right, from Legacy. This is like the Legacy symbol from that time. There you go, Ra's al Ghul. So maybe this is tying into that storyline. That'd be interesting. Tying in loosely, I guess, because it's not canon, of course. What else? Here's another one. There's the back cover, too. They got everything in here. Superman Fantastic Four. Dan Jurgens, Art Tybert on art. Story and layout. Dan Jurgens, Art Tybert on finishes. And this is just, oh gosh, classic Dan Jurgens and Art Tybert. Classic stuff. Dan Jurgens did a run on Superman for a while. Hank Henshaw, Cyborg, yet again coming back. And with Galactus, I wonder if this is kind of a follow-up to the Galactus one we saw earlier with Silver Surfer and Green Lantern. Maybe a little. That would be neat to read about other events that happened in a different crossover, especially with Hank Henshaw. Just him mentioning, like, I was going up against Green Lantern once. That'd be cool. And Silver Surfer showed up. Again, long issues. This is going to take a while to read because you're going to be like, I'm going to read one issue, and then you're just going to go page after page after page after page. Hulk vs. Superman, Roger Stern, Steve Rude, Al Milgrom. Boom. Steve Rude, famous for doing Nexus, his own independent comic book. Looks very much like a classic 40s animation style, Steve Rude. Or I would closely relate him to Eric Powell from the Goon fame. Batman Daredevil, Alan Grant, Eduardo Barreto. Was he doing Catwoman at once? Alan Grant, famous Batman writer, so it's going to be very Batman heavy, I bet. But I want to see like a documentary or something or a podcast on the background of all these crossovers at the time and maybe also like what it took to do a collected edition of it. I would like to see that. I think that would be really, really neat. So, more Batman Daredevil. And some of these have chapters. Like, look at that. What is this? Chapter 2? Chapter 4? Oh my gosh. It's almost like a graphic novel contained in each one. Here's an afterword from Ron Mars in the middle of the book. Oh, no, that's the last one. Because now we're getting into the extras. So, that's pretty neat. Another new afterword from Tom Brevoort. And here's pages from an outline from Superman vs. Amazing Spider-Man #1. So this is the extras a lot. Look how thick these extras are. Look how thick they are. they went to a lot of time and care to get, look at these black and white scans of original artwork. Yeah, they pile it in there a little bit, but it's cool that they found it. And they got pretty good scans to be able to blow it up at this level. All this old art's got the original lettering on there, you know. Here's X-Men and Titans original art. Wow. That one, they're just like, we have to blow that up full size for the black and white. Probably some source wall action, I would guess, having not read the story. Oh my gosh. Here's what I came to see. Some Barry Kitson black and whites from Batman Punisher. Look at that. There's the cover, black and whites, and the cover designs. Oh my gosh. And then John Romita Jr. stuff with some colors on there. Some color guides, maybe. Interesting. Darkseid Galactus, The Hunger. What else is here? Let's leave the extras for people who actually bought the book. Yeah, more color guides by Steve Oliff. Man, so cool. So cool. All right. Here's a wraparound cover for these collections. 1 and 2. Dan Jurgens. Oh no, not Dan Jurgens. That's John Romita Jr. failing to draw Asbats. That's a terrible Asbats, JR. He doesn't have 4 spikes, bro. It's 3. Come on. Get with it. Another one. 2002 by Salvador LaRocca. Interesting. And then Volume 4 by Ed McGuinness. So here's an Alex Ross homage for Wizard Magazine and a pullout. That's pretty cool. Not the only pullout in this book. Here's another one. Boom. All right, this is a promotional poster. That's what makes up this book. All right, for the DC Marvel crossovers, penciled by John Byrne and inked by Terry Austin. There you go. And there's your other stuff. So here's the black and whites for the Jim Lee cover, and the pencils, the inks, pencils, and the colors. So yeah, had I known that, I might have gotten the other cover. You can't see the other half of the pullout, but hey, yeah, that's pretty neat. Pencils, inks, so it is all there. So if you got the regular cover, you're not missing out on the image. You got it in a pullout there with everything else. So yeah, there is a long look at the Crossover Classics DC versus Marvel Omnibus. At last, it's here. Side note, if you're still in this video and you want to pick this up, go get it right now, because they said they're only printing this once. This will not be reprinted. I guess they did a limited run, so whatever's out there is out there. That's why I made sure to pre-order mine a long time ago. But there still are copies available. I saw some on in-stock trades and cheap graphic novels today for a sale price, you know, at a big discount. So don't wait. If you want this and think you may want it, go pick it up, because you may not be able to find it much later. At least they printed enough, hopefully, that people who want it will be able to go get it, unlike the JLA Avengers reprint they did, what was it, last year, 2 years ago, where they only printed so many copies and then, you know, sold them for an exorbitant amount of price, and everybody's marking them up now. These will be on eBay for sure in a couple of months for well over their market value, because it's only going to be printed once, so to speak. We'll see. Maybe in 20 years, who knows? But you know, as of right now, that's their plan. They're not doing any reprints. So hopefully they overprinted, because the demand, I think, once everybody sees all these videos, is going to be quite high. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this omnibus. If you've read it already in a week, down below in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.